10 stupidest things bought by NBA players. One NBA player spent $10 million just to annoy MichaelJordan. Another NBA player's purchase has him facing 20 years in jail. These are stupidly expensive things NBA players own. And what JaMorant bought went so viral that young players all over the NBA are trying to copy him. It all started during Ja's rookie season when he flew into Texas. He knew Houston was the home of the legendary jeweler Johnny Dang, so Ja just had to stop by and blow a bag. And right when he walked in, he joined the Flawless Gang, spending $3,500,000 on a VVS honeycomb diamond grill. And I swear ever since he bought it, he hasn't taken it out his mouth. But that was just the beginning of Ja's jewelry buying addiction, because once he hit Icebox, he took things to a whole new level. This time, he wasn't leaving the jeweler without spending at least 100 racks. With diamond-flooded bracelets, $89,000 chains, and $240,000 APs, Paddocks, and Rollies. Ja really wears a timepiece that is that expensive, and he can't even tell the time. But that wasn't gonna stop our boy from damn near buying the entire jewelry store. So right after Ja copped a diamond chain off his jersey number with a custom jewelry box. And on top of that, he got his sister an $11,000 necklace. Now, at least he knows he's got a spending problem. But I bet he didn't know how much his addiction would influence the NBA, because right after, Ja went viral. Young NBA players instantly started cashing out on jewelry. DeAndre Ayton, Jalen Green, Andre Drummond, and Lamelo Ball all flashed their own $20,000 diamond grills. But Jayson Tatum had to beat everybody. He bought a rare, all-white Bubba Watson and Richard Mille that cost over $500,000. Damn! $500K on a watch is crazy, but it doesn't compare to the item that Ben Simmons bought that almost killed somebody right after. Ben was drafted by the 76ers. He copped and moved into a $3 million Philadelphia penthouse, and cause this place was so bougie, Ben wasn't trying to live here alone. So he decided to buy some new pets. But instead of keeping things simple, he decided the right move. To him, that was spending 10 bands on 2 Savannah cats. Now that might look innocent, but these aren't like normal cats. They're wild animals. While Ben was on a road trip in Cali, he asked his brother to cage up the cats and fly them out to visit him. But once he showed up to Ben's crib, the cats instantly went crazy. It was damn near impossible to cage them up, until eventually Ben's brother got them in and sent them to the airport. Now, he thought he got the job done, but once they showed the cats out of the carrier so they could scan the cages, he warned them, but they didn't listen. And right when he opened the cage, they attacked. It took 3 TSA employees to help, but Ben's brother ended up bloody. But eventually, they got the situation under control. Immediately after, he FaceTimed Ben and told him, "You gotta get rid of these crazy animals," and Ben agreed. Now, $10,000 on killer cats, that's crazy. But Ben knew he couldn't live with himself if he didn't spend even more money on something even more dangerous. Cause Ben might have a Dodge Hellcat, multiple Lambos, and 2 different Rolls Royces. None of those compared to Ben's $350,000 Ferrari Pista. This thing could go 0 to 60 in 2 seconds. And as soon as he laid his eyes on this whip, the rarest of them all, a Ferrari 488 that he got just to match his favorite Jordans. Now, this special edition car brings Ben's crazy total on Ferraris to over $1 million. But he's got one final car that costs more than all of his others combined. Ben joined LeBron James and are the only 2 NBA players with one of the rarest cars on the market. It's a Porsche 918 Spider. But Ben just had to one-up LaFlop James. He copped his version with an exclusive package that replaced the car with all carbon fiber parts, and doing so bumped up the price to $2 million. But killer cats, $2 million cars, that's nothing compared to the $10 million that LaMelo Ball spent just to annoy MichaelJordan. Since LaMelo Ball became a teenager, he's been buying things most people can only dream of. By the time he turned 19, he had already signed a $100 million shoe deal with Puma, where they threw in unlimited access to their private jet. But once LaMelo got drafted to the NBA, he really started blowing millions. On LaMelo's draft night, He showed up wearing a $50,000 Sky Dweller Rolex, flooded in diamonds. And he must have loved the attention he got from the watch, because not long after, LaMelo became the youngest NBA player ever to launch his own line of signature watches. One with a plain bezel that costs around 7 racks, and another diamond version worth 15 racks. But see, LaMelo's wrist game is weak compared to his neck game. Once he started becoming an NBA star, he hit up Slam magazine and debuted a $50,000 masterpiece. This UFO chain had the Melo looking like he was trying to become the fourth Migo. And after Puma saw his chain, they wanted to help LaMelo accomplish that goal. So when he was named to his first All-Star game, they came in with an $80,000 present, a 17-karat diamond necklace with a Puma All-Star pendant. And LaMelo wasted no time putting it on. Now, despite dropping a couple $100,000 on jewelry, one of LaMelo's purchases stands out from the rest. But I'm not sure MichaelJordan's gonna be happy about this. See, with MJ being the owner of the Charlotte Hornets, and LaMelo becoming their star player, they might be seeing each other a little too often, because LaMelo splashed over $10 million just to be MichaelJordan's neighbor. Yeah! LaMelo's mansion just became one of the most legendary cribs in the entire NBA, with 11 bedrooms, 18 bathrooms, and every single room has built-in speakers. LaMelo's crib has its own movie theater bar, personal gym, and $100,000 kitchen appliances. He even bought an exclusive chandelier that cost over $600,000. Woo, damn! Just dropping duffel bag after duffel bag like it's GTA. But if all those hundreds of thousands weren't enough, LaMelo also paid an extra $1.2 million to have the house renovated with an indoor swimming pool. Wait, is that my YouTube on the TV? Oh my god, even LaMelo subscribed! Anyways, on the outside, the Melo's place has another pool, an 8-car garage, and of course it came with its own helipad. Holy hell! I already know LaMelo's brothers are jealous. Man, even though he's the youngest, he's still the biggest baller of the family, but jewelry, cars, mansions. But none of that compares to the $1 million purchase that has this NBA player facing 20 years in jail. Ever since De'Aaron Fox was drafted in 2017, he's been met with obstacles. He came into Sacramento knowing they hadn't made the playoffs in over a decade. But he made it his life's mission to turn this franchise around. Each season, he stepped up his game to a new level, and despite the lack of team success, he quickly became an NBA superstar. Sacramento embraced him, because finally the future looked bright. And being at the pinnacle of his young career in 2020, the Kings rewarded De'Aaron with a max contract of 5 years for $163 million. Damn fat check. And you'd think that'd be enough money for a lifetime, but behind the scenes, that kind of money had De'Aaron plotting a sinister crime. Over the next year, De'Aaron kept everything a secret until December of 2021. He announced he'd been funding his self-named NFT project, Swipe of the Fox. There were plans of around 6,000 NFTs to be minted, and buying these would grant fans real-life rewards, like NBA tickets, signed merch, scholarships, and chances to hang out with De'Aaron himself. Doesn't sound too bad, does it? But in January, the project went public. At its release, each of De'Aaron's NFTs cost around $250. So, not being too expensive, the project instantly gained over 3,000 supporters and racked up over $1.6 million. But then just a few weeks later, the project disappeared. Everybody was confused. Not long after, De'Aaron made a shocking announcement. He claimed that balancing this NFT project and his NBA career just wasn't possible. And to all the investors, their money would not be returned. Fans worldwide assumed the worst. People were claiming De'Aaron knew exactly what he was doing. Things got even more sketchy. De'Aaron completely shut down the NFT's website and closed down his NFT's Discord server and privated all Swipe of the Fox social media. So, many had speculated that this was a major plot to take advantage of young fans who were new to the NFT world, and that this project was the perfect example of how to easily finesse your fans. With De'Aaron being just 24 years old, he could be facing nearly every year he's been alive behind bars. But honestly, you should have seen this coming, because NBA players seem to always be getting themselves in million-dollar scandals. Jimmy Butler has been making millions, so he wanted to celebrate by blowing his money out of the water. He had his boys build him the aquarium of his dreams, a 10-foot boombox with 600 gallons of water and over 50 fish. The aquarium even had built-in speakers, so my fish will be bumping here. Jimmy's wet dream cost him over $40,000, but that is actually the least expensive item in this video, so let's move on to the action. So, he purchased one of the most expensive NFTs in the entire metaverse. I know this thing appears to be just a picture of a monkey, but it's actually an exclusive Bored Ape worth $180,000. Just by the expression on Steph's face, I can tell that his purchase brought him happiness. I wish I could say the same about Paul George, who spent $250,000 to better his game after joining Team USA a few years ago after experiencing the worst tragedy of his life. But during a scrimmage, when Paul ran down court for a chase-down block, Paul's leg was completely broken, and he was immediately thrown onto a stretcher, rushed to the hospital, and put into an emergency surgery. He was devastated that at the height of his career, he was forced to sit out basketball for an entire year, until he got a special visit from Floyd Mayweather. Floyd stopped by to cheer Paul up, and gave him some financial advice. Then, ironically, right after, Paul made an Instagram post showing that he spent $265,000. Yeah, I'm not sure if Paul took Floyd's advice, or was just trying to cheer himself up, but he bought a custom Ferrari Spider. Paul couldn't even drive it, but you can see how happy he is sitting in the passenger seat. Paul even had the interior completely redesigned to fit his tall ass. I'd hope so if he spent over $200,000. For example, John Wall spent triple that amount to spoil his teammates. Once Wall signed a record-breaking $207 million contract, that was more money than he ever needed. So he ended up asking his boy Santa Claus for some Christmas advice. After some discussion, they decided on the ideal gifts for Wall's teammates, while surprising each of his boys with custom gold rollies, completely flooded in diamonds. Just look at them opening these up. The boys were celebrating like they won a championship or something. But since they're wizards, those watches are really the only awards they'll ever receive. When you add up all the watch's estimated value, you can find that each watch was worth at least $40,000, and some of them were worth over $75,000. So the total cost of the Christmas gifts was well over $750K. But PJ Tucker spent double that amount due to his shoe addiction. This is a man who can't even enter a store without spending 16 bands. Exactly 16,944. And PJ's shoe buying addiction is only getting more expensive. I mean, in his crib, not only does he have closets full of them, he's got a secret shoe ball. And that's not even the craziest part. He admits that just during the 2017 season, he spent over $200,000 just on shoes. And that's when he bought one of his most expensive shoes ever, the Nike Air Max. They only cost him $36K, because nowadays you can't even see the shoes unless you're trying to spend around 50 racks. But these aren't even the most expensive shoes that PJ owns. Those came during the 2021 NBA Finals. These weren't just any shoes. They were diamond-covered Jordan 1s that cost $250,000. And well, they must have been PJ's good luck charm, because that night, him and the Bucks won the championship. But during the post-game interview, Giannis was more excited to talk about PJ's shoes than winning a championship ring. Now, as crazy as those Jordans were, they're just one of PJ's 5,000 pairs. And it's obviously impossible to keep that many shoes in one house, so PJ did something that only PJ would do. He went out and purchased condos for each of his shoes. I reasoned that what this guy wears on his feet has a better house than you. And with PJ having over 5,000 shoes in his collection, racks up over $1.5 million. But what PJ bought ain't as legendary as Dwyane Wade's purchase, cause he spent double that for one night coming into Wade's 32nd birthday. He not only planned a celebration, he wanted to make the craziest purchase of his entire life. And that's when he spent over $5 million to not only buy a yacht, but get it completely customized for his birthday. Yeah, and not only did Wade get the name of the boat changed to the Way of the Wade, man's really copped an outfit to match. Wade even made sure someone got hired just to spend all night rolling up. And of course, it ain't a party if the boys ain't there. So not only did Wade's teammates pull up in front of everybody, LeBron let Wade know what's good. A toast from LeBron, $5 million for a yacht. Things can't get much crazier than that. Right, so let's start with a player who spent $19 million just to allay his greatest fear. September 11th, 2001 was the day that everyone's lives were forever changed, but especially Tracy McGrady's. When he heard the news of planes being hijacked and the tragedies that came with it, he knew how often he had to travel from city to city. So no matter what Tracy was doing, he couldn't take his mind off of airborne attacks. And that's when he made the most expensive purchase of his entire life, a private jet. Tracy couldn't even play basketball without the thoughts that made him afraid to board any kind of transportation. But this ain't just any plane. Just look. It's not only comfortable, it allowed Tracy to conquer his fears of flying. But listen, it's just ironic how a player who's scared of being in the air joined the Rockets. But anyway, if you want to see more content, just click this next video here. See ya!